7th of July, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay. Okay, so we want to go over these cases over here. We're going to start from we'll start from the case. We'll start from Amar Rava. Haiman de Gazli Luliva Ve'avdinu Hutse.
Not
So
sure who you are.
Okay, so this is on 96A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the bottom of the page. First word in the line is Lokani. Omar Rava, the middle of the page,
Got it.
middle of the line.
It's 96A3, left-hand column, bottom paragraph.
Okay. So maybe we'll just read it over again. So Amar Rava says, Haiman de Gosel Lulove V'Avdinu Hutse. The Goslin stole a lulav. Abdinu Hutse, and he made from it Hutse. Rashi says Hutse Shenitkan Allah Mina Shidra. He removed one leaf by one leaf, one at a time, from the shidra, from the spine of the lulav. So now he's got a bunch of leaves. Kani.
Oh, it's frozen.
Remember, you're frozen. Now we have two hosts.
Okay,
Roy's host.
back again.
Roy, you're hosting.
I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, all right. How do you know?
Okay,
Okay, so where are we?
so we're starting on Omar Rava. It's 96A. It's 6 lines up from the bottom of the page, middle of the line.
The Gemara discusses what does or does not constitute a change. Is that it?
No. The
No,
Gemara
that's
now
on the wrong.
proceeds to discuss. Oh, yeah, that is what you just said. Yeah, that's right. You're in the right place.
Okay, so here we have one case. The Goslin stole something that he stole what's called a lulav. We call it a lulav, and he tore off the leaves from the spine of the lulav and now he's left with leaves. So we say he's made a kinyan. He's made a kinyan in this in what he stole. He doesn't have to give anything back over here except pay for the value of what he stole, because he acquired it. And the Gemora says because it used to be a lulav, and now we call it a hutzei. We call it leaves. Okay. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind, that case, and the principle that we learned in that case. It seems as though the Gemara is saying that the reason why he was Kona is because it underwent a name change. That's what the Gemara says. Okay. Now the next case is Chutzei. He stole the leaves themselves, the leaves of the lulav, Abdinu Hufya, and he made the leaves. He arranged them together in a bound them together, I guess, and he made a broom out of it. We say he was Kona. Why was he Kona? Again, we say the same type of a svara. The reason why he was Kona was because what he initially stole is called leaves, and what he made it into a broom, chufya. Now, only thing here is that Rashi, if you take a look at Rashi, Dibra Maskil Hufya, Rashi says something noteworthy over here. Rashi says, Ashkuva Shabo Mechabdin Asabayit. It's the thing that you use to sweep the house, to clean the house. It's a broom. And then Rashi says something very noteworthy. V'cholek kol hotzei l'shnayim. And what he did in order to make this broom over here is he had to divide each one of the leaves that he stole into two separate parts. So that further or at that point, lo hadra, is not possible to get back to the situation of having leaves. Leaves means you've got a leaf which is made of two parts, and this is not a leaf. It's not fit for the. It's what you can do with a leaf as opposed to doing with things that when the leaf is split in two, such that Rashi says it's at that point you can't return it back to the state that it was before.
We can't hear you, Rabbi. You muted yourself somehow.
Okay.
Rabbi, you have to repeat your last two sentences, please.
Okay.
I hear you, Rabbi.
Okay. You can
Yeah.
hear now?
Yep,
Yes.
I can.
Okay. So Rashi says in this case with the broom that he doesn't emphasize so much the fact that it's now a broom. It's called a broom. These leaves, but he mentions the fact that it would not be possible to because of the fact that he split each leaf in two. So like that, in order to make the broom, he's not any at that point he's not able to put the leaves back together again, and that's going to be a noteworthy point which is going to be different from the next case that Rashi mentions.
So,
This is going to be the difference between this case and the next case.
so it seems that based on Rashi, in both of these cases, we have two elements. It's a permanent change and it's a name change.
Yeah.
So these 2 points involve that, both changes.
Okay. Now we go to the last case in this trio over here. On the other hand, if he stole a chufia, he stole the broom, and the broom has these leaves split in two in order to make the bottom of the broom. The avde sharshura. He makes. I guess he detaches the stick from the leaves, which was the broom, and then he takes the leaves and he puts them together somehow, and he makes a sharshura, which Rashi translates as a hevel. A hevel is a rope. So in this case, the Gemora says, Lo kani, the Gazlan has not been kona over here. It's not good enough that he stole a chufia and he transformed that chufia into sharshura. Why not? My time, I asked the Gemora. Gemora wants to know why. What is the reason why that's not a kinyan? We would have thought that it is a kinyan. Not that, the Gemara answers, no, it's not a kinyan. The hadar sasar le bahabe hufia, because he could turn around and undo these can't call them leaves because they don't have both parts of them. They're half leaves, we'll call them. And he can undo them, and then he could make his broom again. He can have a broom just like he had before. So that's called a shinui, which is choser. He made a shinui. There was a shinui in the thing that he stole. He stole a broom, and now he made it into a rope. So that's a shinui. But it's a shinui which is choser, says the Gemara. It can be returned to the exact same thing that he stole, and therefore he's not kona in that case. Okay. So what's the question that we have over here? What don't we understand?
We don't understand why in the first two cases the Gemora sees fit to comment on the name change. We've established from the third case that the change has to be irreversible in order to result in acquisition. And we know from Rashi in the first two cases of the lulav and the leaves that the change is irreversible. What we don't know is why it talks about the name change. Does that imply that the name change is also a requirement for acquisition? or not?
Okay. So I think the answer to this question is, in other words, I'll restate the question. The question basically is, it would seem from the way the Gemora is talking that we have a requirement of a name change. And if we do, and if we and that name change seemed to be sufficient in the first case. We say he was Kona. Why is he Kona? Because he stole a lulav and now it's called leaves. But really, we're going to see in the next case with stealing the leaves and making it into a broom, that even though it's true, the Gemora says the same thing that it said in the first case. Yeah, he was Kona because he stole some leaves and he made it into a broom. So it seems like the point is that he changed the thing and it's now got a different name, and that has got a different name is sufficient to say that there's a kinyan, which is going to be difficult in the third case, because the third case there was also a name change. But yet the Gemora said, but in that case, that third case, the reason why it's not Kona is because it's a shinui achozer. It wasn't a permanent change. So how do we understand these two requirements over here? Do we need name change? Do we need that the shinui should be a shinui which is would seem like we have to have a shinui which is not chozer? That's that much we see. So we could sharpen the question and say like this: since we see from the case, since we see from the third case that what you need is a shinui achozer, and if you don't have a shinui achozer, so then it's not koina. So then who cares about the name change? The name change doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be a requirement whatsoever. How does why is the Gemora mentioning about the name change? That's not the determining factor over here. This is the question in the Gemora. So so my answer to that is, I didn't look around, but I think that this is a simple understanding over here. That even though it's true, the Gemora mentions the fact that he stole something that was called X, and now he made it into something that's called Y. Okay, but the point is that in the third case, when he steals something which is called a chufia, and he makes it into something which is called a sharshura, so even though there's a name change, really, in view of the fact that this sharshura can be changed back and made into a chufia again, in other words, it's the shinui hachozer. So on that we say that's not called a name change. That's not a name change. A name change means that you initially had a lulav, and now it's called leaves, and it's going to be called leaves forever. That's what we mean when we say a shinui in the shem. It's got to be a shinui hashem, which is not chozer. Because if it's a shinui hashem which is chozer, that's not called a shinui hashem. He's a, what do you call that guy? He's like one day he's acts like this and one day he's a Dracula. You know, like, who is this guy? Is he a real guy or is he a monster? Like, he's not. You can't call it. You can't really call that a permanent. You can't call that a name change, because with I could change it back into the thing that it was before. Okay.
And then the question that would leave me with is, what if you have the opposite single condition, where you have a permanent change that is not a name change. A non-reversible change that is not a name change.
Oh, like we had actually, we had before, we had the case of stole Kishure, the case right before Rava. The case right before Rava, he stole Kishure Ravravi. He stole large Kishure, whatever Kishure are, words. The Avdinu Kishure Zutre. And he cut them down and he made them into Kishure Zutre, small ones. So he had big beams and he made them into small boards. Beams, boards, whatever it is that they are. But he had big ones. He stole big ones and he cut them down into small ones. So now it's reasonable to assume that one thing is, this is a very interesting din over here, because the Gemora says lo koni, the Goslin has not been koned to them. He has not been koned to them. Well, why has he not been koned to them? Even if we say they're still called kishure, because kishure, they're small kishure as opposed to being large kishure, but presumably, I don't know. Could they be made into a? Could you put them? You could glue them together or bind them together some way and make Kishure Rabrabi, to make large boards.
Wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't be quite the same structurally, I think. I'm not too sure. It just depends on the glue.
And the Gemora goes on after that. It says Avdinu Kitsutsiasa, if he made them into Kitsutsiasa, then we say he has been koned. So Rashi doesn't comment over here, and it would seem from what the Gemora
Rabbi Levitt, you're muted again.
Okay. Don't know how that happens. What does the art scroll explain in this case with the Kishure?
I've got it from looking for. Where is it? How far back is it?
What does that mean, Kitsure?
This is the case with the boards and the beams.
We just had a couple of days ago, didn't we?
Yeah, it's the case right above the Amar Rava,
Oh,
right above Amar Rava, which was
right. I got mixed up. Logs, palm tree logs. Okay. If you stole the logs and make them beans, we don't call it large beans, made them small beans. All right.
what did he steal?
Large beams made into small beams.
Yeah.
Right. All right. From right. Okay. So since I saw an article, just before that, the note says, finishes off saying, for since stolen article is not the same form as it was when it was in the possession of the owner, the robber acquires it and pays the cash equivalent. Right. Now, from Rambam, it would seem that this is not a new case, but part of a progression. If after felling the tree, he made it into logs, for now they're merely called beams, not palm tree beams. Thus, they have undergone a change of name, which affects acquisition. I'm reading a series of notes here. This certainly constitutes a new case. Since they were previously called beams and now called boards, that's a change. And that's all. Then it goes into the lulav one. He made the beams into boards, so he does acquire them. If he stole large beams and made them into small beams, he does not acquire them.
Why not?
Since their name remains essentially the same.
So that may be an example of what I asked. He made an irreversible change. You can't put them back and make them back into large beams. But the name didn't change, so therefore it's not considered, he does not acquire.
So okay. So what that means is that here you see an example of a case where you need to have both the name change and the irreversible change. In this case, you have an irreversible change. You can't make the small boards back into big boards. But since they're basically all called boards, there's not going to be a kinyan.
So I would say we only need a name change. We don't need an irreversible change.
Well, but then if it's a shinui achozer, if it's not an irreversible change, so then you have the case of the broom and the rope. There you have a name change,
right?
Ostensibly, but since you don't have a permanent change, it's not a kinyan.
Right. Okay, so you need both.
Yeah. So we see examples here. We see an example of where yeah, that's what we see. That's the Yeah, because when he makes these boards into a beam, a ketsutsiosya, so then we say he was Kona. He will be Kona like that. That's called a shinui because the name is different, and it's not a. It is an irreversible. It's yes, an irreversible change. That's what we have to say. That case of kitsutsiosya is. It's a irreversible. It cannot. Once he made it into a kitsutsiosya, however you pronounce that word, he will not be able to change it back to being a kashure. Unlike the case where he took the hufia and he made it hufia into a sharshura. Because in that case, even though it's a different name now, but it's not a permanent different name. He could make it now. He could make make it back into a hufia, and that's not Kona. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that you need to have both. I believe what that means is that you have to have both. Very simple. It's very simple. At the end of the day, it's very simple.
Even for you, Rabbi.
In other words, even for in all of these cases where that's what's really coming out, even though what was throwing me off was that the Gemora doesn't the way the Gemora presented it. We only at the very end of the discussion, the Gemara throws in this concept that if we could take the rope and make it back into a broom, so then it's not going to be a kinyan. So we're all saying, "Wow, what happened over here? What we thought there was a name change. We thought name change makes a change. That's he's koneh." So we got all thrown off. But
Right.
but now, after having seen all of these cases and thinking about them together, I think it's very clear that that has to be the bottom line. I think, like you said it. You need both. That's what you need. There's not one case here where you don't have both. That's what we see. In other words, you got a name change, number one, and it's a permanent name change. It's not a shinoi, which is going to be we can be returned back to the situation that was before. That's what you need in all these cases. And there's no machlokes. I don't think so. Okay. And so now with the lulav, we in the tiomus, we already did that. We didn't have any problem with that, right?
Right.
Hmm. Oh, Rabbi Levitt, you're muted again.
It must be that I'm. How does it cause it?
I don't know what.
Keep your hands away from the the board over here, because if you unintentionally touch the thing over here, then it can cause you to mute. Oh, I know, maybe I'll just put my arrow over there, so then it can't do that, right?
Oh. All right.
You could see me, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the thing. Okay. Right, if you don't have your little mouse on top of the muting device, so then you don't have a trouble.
That's right. If you have your mouse on the muting device, then you can inadvertently hit the mouse.
That's what I must have been doing.
Yeah, just shaking the table will do it.
Okay,
Right.
so Roy, would you like to continue with Amarav Papa?
All right.
It's 96B.
One. Oh, I've got it. Rav Papa said, hi, hey, main, Degezel, Afare, Machavare, in the case of this person who stole earth from his fellow, the Avadia Dea Libinta, and made it into a brick, Loikane, he does not acquire it. May Ta'ama, what's the reason? Vahada Mashave lay of Afara, because he can again make it into earth, thereby reversing the change.
Wow. Maybe the bricks that they made.
Yeah, not these days. No.
So this seems to be redundant. We've already established this principle. Why is he giving us this additional example?
Well, listen to this bit.
Good question.
Libanita Va'avadei Afara Kane. If, however, he stole a brick and made it into earth, he does acquire it. So far we'll be doing either way. It doesn't change, but here we do it one way is it changed, the other way it doesn't. Ma Amaret, what might you say in objection to this? Dilma Hadar of Aved lay Levinta, that here too perhaps he will again make it into a brick, so his original changing the brick into earth is a reversible change. I Levinta Acharisate Pi. This is not so, for even if you were to make the earth back into a brick, this would be considered a different brick. Ufanim Chadoshat Ba'ul Lechom. And a new face will have come into being here. And the article continues, accordingly, grinding a brick into earth is an irreversible change, for he can make a new brick out of the earth, but the original brick cannot be restored.
Oh, wow.
So the footnote says, if you could make the new brick exactly the same size as the first brick, then it would be acquired. I mean, it would be reversible and not be acquired.
So you'd be making the original brick again.
Right.
So then, since he could do that, so why does the Mishnah say Koni?
Because the new brick that he forms is not going to be the same exact size as the first brick. It says if he could do that, then it would be reversible, but he can't.
I thought you said that if you could make it the same size. You mean it's not possible to make it exactly the same size?
You're going to lose some earth and
Yeah.
in the
It's
process of
possible to make it
grinding.
exactly the same size as the first, according to Rashi.
Yeah.
Oh, Rashi's gonna, okay. Okay, so,
Well, our time is up.
okay, very good. So this will answer your question. Why it is that we have this case?
Yeah. I was premature.
Okay, all the best, everybody.
Right.
Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for Yom Shishi. Bezras Hashem.
Elioites.
Thank you. Thank you. Yom Tov, everybody.
Yom Tov. Have a great day, Roy. Thank you, Rabbi.
Well,
Thank you.
Alan.
Bye, Roy. Bye, Alan. Bye, Lou.
bye.